When looking at the Mario series, no one would expect RPG adventures to be part of his catalog, yet thanks to Super Mario RPG and the decision to continue in the same vein as that classic, Mario has almost 10 RPGs under his belt divided into two series. The Paper Mario series tends to be more experimental with varying degrees of success, while Mario & Luigi is more consistent but rarely leaves its comfort zone. So it makes sense to have a crossover where Paper Mario actually meets Mario and Luigi. But is this meeting of the Marios and Mario and Luigi Paper Jam just retreading old ground, or does it bring something unique to the table? Paper Jam begins with Luigi trying to fix a hole in Peach's attic. Thanks to the antics of a mouse, Luigi accidentally opens a special book that contains the world of Paper Mario. Hundreds of paper toads and Bowser's minions pour across the Mushroom Kingdom, including the paper doppelgangers of the primary characters. What starts as a simple Toad rescue mission eventually becomes something grander as Bowser and Paper Bowser begrudgingly combine their forces in an attempt to overwhelm the Mario brothers. Luckily, Mario and Luigi can count on the help of Paper Mario and his unique abilities to overcome the Bowser's plot. On paper, it seems to be a very simple story, and that's because it really is. There isn't a single new character introduced. Instead, Paper Jam focuses on the interactions between the 3D world and the Paper World's characters. And while that could have been a problem, the standout writing and humor that Mario and Luigi is known for is still very much present. It's incredibly amusing seeing the Bowsers and Kameks fight amongst each other, while Bowser Jr. actually has fun with his paper duplicate. And the Peaches compare stories of their kidnappings and things they always wish they could do. Even the Koopalings who make their return from Superstar Saga as they wonder why they don't have paper versions. Strangely, it's the interactions between the Marios and Luigi that are the dullest since none of them really talk. We do get some visual jokes between the three, but unfortunately they're few and far between. But there is one advantage to this lean storytelling. Compared to previous Mario and Luigi adventures, there is much less forced backtracking. The trio will return to previous areas on occasion, but almost always have some new place to explore or different interactions. Despite the standard story, there's a great sense of constant progression which is welcome after Dream Team. Despite being a crossover, Paper Jam pretty much plays like previous Mario & Luigi games. Each brother is mapped to a button to control their actions both while exploring and during combat. As you progress through the game, they learn new abilities to access new areas and special moves called Brothers Attacks to deal more damage to enemies. But Paper Jam does add a fair amount of new features to both aspects. Trio moves have the brothers work together in order to grab distant objects, fly across gaps, or dig underground. Really, they're just new versions of previous games' brothers moves, but Paper Jam does a good job of making them useful for more than just the obvious, like using the trio hammer to flip objects or the trio drill to climb walls. But the single most useful ability in the game is the new dash. This allows for much quicker exploration of each area while also serving as one of the methods of catching paper toads, which we'll explain soon. It's a simple addition but adds to the overall streamlined feel that Paper Jam has. Much of the excess that was in previous games has been trimmed, and this applies to battles as well. Gone are the overlong tutorials that teach every single aspect of the game at length. Instead, a quick overview is provided with the option to look at it more in depth later on. This allowed me to skip over the stuff I already knew as a longtime fan and focus on the additions to the Mario and Luigi formula. But the biggest addition to battles is Paper Mario himself. His primary ability is the copy block, which allows him to create at least 6 copies of himself. This uses up a turn, but he gains extra defense as any hit will destroy a copy rather than damage him. Useful since his HP is rather low. It also applies to his offense, where he can jump on an enemy 6 times in a row or use his hammer to hit all enemies at once for less damage. Paper Mario is a great addition and not as overpowered as I feared. He lacks Mario and Luigi's strength, and if he is hit, I often had to decide whether to use a turn to fill up his copies or press on with my attack. In addition, Paper Mario provides access to the new trio attacks, which are extremely powerful and use all three brothers. They're generally more involved and a bit trickier than the brothers' attacks, but the damage output is definitely worth the effort. Of course, if any one of them falls in battle, it can't be accessed at all. This puts emphasis on the player who, like in previous Mario and Luigi RPGs, has to stay alert during fights as it's possible to evade or even counterattack every move made by an enemy. Looking for tells is important as ever, and Paper Jam takes advantage of the new paper enemies. Some will have the copy abilities of Paper Mario, and all of them have variations of the 3D enemy attacks. They're similar but different enough that you can't rely on the exact same strategy. The final addition to fights is the battle cards. A deck of 10 can be made before battle, which grants special abilities like increased power, speed, or defense, lowering those stats on the enemies, outright damaging the enemies, or even increasing the amount of experience or coins you earn from the fight. However, each card has a usage cost. Star points must be earned to use them, and the more powerful they are, the more expensive the star point cost. It's another aspect that I worried would make the brothers overpowered, but it's balanced in such a way that they never came across that way. Strategy is key, and I enjoyed their inclusion. And speaking of difficulty, I was pleasantly surprised to discover that Paper Jam could be quite challenging, especially the boss fights. I never really bothered grinding, which actually kept me at an almost consistently lower level than most enemies, but I was still able to progress with a moderate challenge thanks to the dodge and counterattack mechanics. The bosses legitimately pushed me though. Each of them found a slightly different way to put pressure on me, whether through sheer numbers, using abilities that I had, or just being downright tough. They were consistently the highlight of an area, and the game is filled with them. Of course, there's also the addition of papercraft battles. Each fight has players use a unique papercraft with its own abilities in order to challenge an enemy version. Every one of them did feel different while using the same mechanics. Battles would start with a rhythm minigame to fill the Toad's energy, which is expended while charging into enemies or tossing the papercraft to land on them for massive damage. It's simple fun, and figuring out the best way to attack the different enemy papercraft was satisfying. I enjoyed it much more than previous giant battles from Dream Team and Bowser's Inside Story. Papercraft battles are just easier to control as they don't rely on the touchscreen. In fact, the touchscreen is really only used for the battle cards and map. The final way Paper Jam mixes things up is with various challenges that can be accessed through the Lakitu house. Most of them come in the form of rescuing paper toads, but others involve trivia, puzzles, or chasing Nabbit for new brothers attacks. They do a great job of mixing up the game and reward you with special battle cards and new attacks. Some are truly fun and entertaining, but others can be a complete bust, most notably any that involve stealth, which is manageable but never fun. The presentation in Paper Jam is mostly unchanged from Dream Team, but that's not a bad thing. Each character emotes really well, and many of the animations are downright hilarious. The new locations are exactly what you'd expect from a Mario game. Plains, desert, forest, etc., and are rarely that interesting to travel through, but the addition of the paper world does spice things up. Seeing the paper characters move and interact is great to see, and the 3DS is capable of really showing how these worlds are different. The cardboard landscape that begins appearing also adds some needed variety, and there are great touches like paper enemies dropping cardboard coins. It's the little details that help it stand out. The music, as always, is great. It's Yoko Shimomura who has proven time and again that she can make the Mario and Luigi soundtracks pop. Paper Jam is no different. While Dream Team built off the ideas of Bowser's Inside Story, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam feels like an extension of the ideas within Partners in Time. The new mechanics work really well, and the addition of Paper Mario feels remarkably natural. The biggest problem is that it feels a little too standard. The adventure never goes beyond stopping the two Bowsers, and is instead a showcase of the interactions between the paper characters and the 3D ones. They're great, but Paper Mario fans will be disappointed by the lack of original paper characters in the game. This is definitely a Mario and Luigi game first, with paper ideas added in, though none from specific Paper Mario games. But with all that said, it is a great entry point for fans that have only played the Paper Mario RPGs. No backstory is needed, and everything is kept simple and familiar. So while Paper Jam could be seen as just another entry in the Mario and Luigi series, I still liked it a lot. It may be just another entry, but these games are fun, and I always look forward to playing another. Thanks for watching, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Mario and Luigi, Paper Mario, and other things gaming.